Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for this special edition of YBMcast, powered by Game 7 Baseball, game7baseball.com. Go to game7baseball.com, get your team registered for the upcoming spring and summer events going on right now. Also, our good folks, get your team outfitted. Prime Sports Midwest, primesportsmidwest.com. Tell Rick that YBM sent you, okay, guys? Appreciate that. Let's get into some talk here. Today, GAC preview. We're in the GAC Central with head coach Russ Hill from Fort Zumwalt East, the Lions. And I must say, I always do this. I am a homer for the Lions. My daughter over there, my son, both graduated. Justin played for Coach Hill in high school baseball, so it's always fun to have Coach Hill on the set. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. 23-11 overall. The GAC Central, you were 5-5 there. First district championship.
Yeah, that was a big hurdle to get over for sure.
That was a big one.
Yeah, we've been chomping at that for a while.
And you know the crazy thing too, Coach, you beat two very good teams, Parkway Central and St. Dominic, and that last one had to endure a tornado delay.
Yeah, that was one to remember for sure because I could relive the whole thing, and it was. I mean, McGill was doing. Yeah, I mean he was in the zone, and we liked where the game was headed. And in the middle of them, he's finally at 70 pitches, I think, and the sirens go off, and I really couldn't believe it because I knew we were going to have to go inside. I knew the game was going to get suspended. I knew I wasn't going to bring out McGill. So luckily the boys picked up right where they left off that next day, and it was our day, I guess, because that team was good.
Yeah,
Dominic was good.
Exactly. And you got into the Final Four, a fourth place finish last year. It was a really good year. Congrats on that again.
Yeah, thanks. It was a journey. It was fun. I mean, we enjoyed ourselves, that's for sure. And we played pretty well. When you go down there to the Final Four, everybody, people like us who are new to the scene are happy to be there, but we're not content. So we still have business to do. We played well in that first game in the semis, actually out hit, but we just sometimes baseball gods aren't on your side. They had two out hits, 2 run, 2 out hits, and that's just baseball.
Exactly.
It's a good game, and it is what it is.
Willard's good. They're a good baseball team.
Yeah,
they are.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. You played Platte County
first. Yeah, the champ.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Right.
Platte County. I mean, they were really good.
Yeah.
And I mean,
they were good.
Festus was good. Everybody, I thought it was a really good because from Willard to you guys to East to Festus,
Platte County.
County, there was some dudes on these teams, weren't there?
Festus has some guys, and Platte County had some guys, and of course Willard did too. But I mean, that's expected, I guess.
Yeah. It's Final Four, right?
Yeah, it's expected. So I mean, we played well. We just didn't come on top, and then for the third place game, it was eventful. But
it was close. Yeah.
And it just wasn't our day to shine down there.
I got some video evidence. Just if you we'll leave that alone.
Yeah.
Anywho, moving on. 8 returning seniors from that team last year.
Yeah.
Which, of course, I'm going to do this first because I want to give a shout out to these guys because there was some Luke Aubuchon, Parker Davis, Alex Hebner, Justin Smith, Brendan Jackson. Really, that group. There was some really good leadership from those guys, wasn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely going to miss those guys. Those were some really intangibles, the stuff that they brought. Parker Davis and Luke Aubuchon were great captains for us. I'll talk them up forever, And, you got guys like Hebner and Brennan Jackson who didn't, and even Evan Newcorn, he was part of the show too. Like those guys came to me.
Sorry, Evan.
No, it's okay. So those guys came to me early before, right about now, those 3 came to me and said, Coach, we don't really have any ambitions to go play college ball. We just want this to be like our last hurrah as seniors. And that mentality of those guys really permeated throughout the team, and it was like, man, they were just in it for the team. You know, they didn't have any self-inflicted like hidden MOs, like I want to go play college ball, I want my stats to be this and that, like some seniors can kind of get to, you know. But those three, like, and not just them, you know, like Justin obviously was a big part of our pitching and everything, but those three guys, really, I'm thinking of Brennan Jackson, Hebner, and Newcorn, they had such a great mentality and just a team first. Like, they didn't have any hidden agenda. Like, they were just there for the team.
That's awesome.
And it was awesome. It was a special connection, you know, coaches.
I really like Alex, too. He's a good kid, fun to talk to. And and those corners, you know, in the outfield, they played good baseball out there defensively on either side.
Yeah.
You know, you had the Gazelle in the middle. It was, you know, doubles went to die.
They did. JC in center, and then Heebs is about as quick as they get too, you know.
Yeah. They ran down some baseballs for you, didn't they?
And I tell you what, I don't know if you know this, Alex is about as smart. He was about as smart as it gets. I mean, that kid is I'll be doing his GPA a disservice.
Coach Loutsey told me, he goes, that's the brainiac.
Yeah, I'm sure he was he was probably like a 4.5 GPA. I don't even know. That might be even lower than what it was.
Jeez.
But no, it was good. They were good.
Okay.
Oh, get closer. Okay.
Or you could bring it closer.
Okay.
To you, so
Gotcha.
There you go. So 8 returning seniors. The experience of last year has got to be a huge factor with a lot of these kids coming back that have. And I know we talked a little bit because we were down there. You know, you brought some extra kids with you on that trip just for that experience, didn't you, Coach?
Yeah. That's always a good thing to bring JV guys up that are warranted. And I asked our JV guy, Coach Varner, I said, hey, who's justifiably deserving to come on up with us? Because, you know, we play the exact same time, JV and varsity, so we don't always get to see those guys play.
Right.
And he said A, B, C, D, E, and I was like, okay, let's bring them all up. You know, so we brought them up from the get-go, not just for the Final Four. So those guys came up immediately when the JV season was over, those 5. And another, I don't know, like, if you think about this, like those guys that come up, those JV guys, and not just at East, other schools, they have an option to shut down their high school season and go start practicing for their clubs.
Right.
Selfishly, a lot of them do, and I don't blame them, you know. So I pulled those 5 aside, and I said, hey, look, so here's the deal. You guys, you know, some sophomores and some freshmen even came up. You guys aren't really going to get to play. I'm not hiding that, you know, like it would take a lot for you to get in, but I want you to be a part of the journey with the district run and even the quarterfinal and then of course Final Four state. But those guys chose to practice every day with us, be a part of our varsity program for the tail end of whatever the journey was, because those guys didn't know the journey was going to be as good as it was, and they decided to practice with us daily and not go to their summer clubs, and that meant a lot to me and to the other guys, and it's a testament to, you know, the kind of guys that we have, you know, like they're just like selfless dudes that are in it for the program, you know what I mean? So they enjoyed the journey, at least, you know, they said they did, and they didn't regret, you know, going to summer and club ball and practicing, and heck, I think by then they were playing games, you know?
Yeah. Oh, but, absolutely. June. Yeah.
You know, but yeah, back to our 8 seniors for sure. You know, we Brady Davis, you know, Michael Gibson, of course, Jackson Penn behind the plate, McGill, you know, he's going to obviously be an integral part of us on the mound. You know, guys like Dariazzi and Cody Rust and Caleb Schneider and even Tyler Schmidt, who's, you know, they've been working hard. So it'll be good to see a lot of guys in the dugout that have been down the journey, you know, like they were down that road last year.
I always like to start, and I say this, I'm gonna say it again. Absolutely, it's the way I roll, baby girl. Pitching and defense is where I always start, because that's where Tommy Lasorda started. You know, hit a couple bombs and let's go home.
Yeah, pitching and defense is where it's at. You're not alone with that.
So, pitching wise, I love this kid. I saw him. We did a show over at Ace Baseball Development.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And with Adam Jansen and Lucas is over there training with those guys, and I love that. about that kid. He's putting in the work. I mean, he was 9-2 last year, 2.92 ERA. He had a really good season, and just the competitiveness on the mound. Right?
You said it.
He's a dog.
You said that. That's exactly right. I mean, obviously the record speaks for itself. Not that he's into records, but yeah, him working over at Ace with Adam, they do good things over there for sure. And he's not the only guy over there. We got a couple other guys, but I mean, yeah, McGill is
Who
doing.
else you got over there, Coach?
There's some lower level guys, and there's some guys that have been getting some time over there. So I think it's a great thing. I think they do some good things over there. So McGill working his butt off. That's just what you're going to get out of him. So you said competitiveness, man. That's spot on. So like I said, his record 9-2. He was like our third guy. Like he was like our number 3 in a sense because Brennan Jackson, Justin Smith last year did really well. But McGill, man, he was just like steady Eddie. He never missed. And then of course when those two or 1 and 2 kind of got injured for a little bit, McGill had to step up and be our guy, and he did. So we're looking for him to pick up where he left off. That's for sure.
I love that because we saw Justin Smith against South. He was dealing.
Yeah, he was pumped up.
And that was kind of tough when you lost him for the season basically.
Yep.
I mean, and that's tough. It was tough for him, I'm sure, but he was really good early. Brennan Jackson, Michael Gibson. Mm-hmm. He was a kid that came in late innings and got outs for you, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He was like, as weird as it sounds, we don't have a ton of pitching depth over the years at East, but in the role of like a setup man, I know that sounds kind of crazy, but he was just that. He did great.
Yeah.
He came in, starter would get through 5, and he would come in and throw the 6th, and sometimes the 7th. But then, of course, we brought in Aubie often in the last inning and
he
let
was
him
pretty
clean
lights
up.
out.
We were pretty fortunate with that. So, yeah, Gibby did a great job for us. I mean, he's kind of like a crafty righty. I don't even know if that's a thing, but we call him a crafty righty because he throws some junk up there, and it's very effective,
And that's a great point. I didn't even think about it till just now, but there's not too many high school coaches, or high school programs at any point that have that kind of luxury that, you get a 5 innings from your starter. You have that
right.
6th inning guy and 7th inning guy. That just really isn't, but you guys did last year.
It was weird how it unfolded, and we didn't know that going into it. But as we saw the effectiveness of Gibby, we knew he would be a really good middle relief guy. Not to say that he can't start. He would definitely. But we just felt better that he would come in the middle of the innings, and then, we were very lucky to have Aubuchon as a closer. He's pitching up at McKendree right now on the big boy roster, and he's doing good things up there. So he would just kind of slam the door in the 7th inning, and it was good. It was fun.
And defensively, when you talk about pitching and defense, that gave you the option, which is a positive thing, to have Aubuchon at shortstop, playing defensively behind those guys, giving you that option, whatnot. I mean, that's kind of a luxury in those respects.
Yeah.
And so those are things that you're going to have to deal with this year, though. I mean, as far as that. And Carter Hollingsworth, he was a sophomore last year, correct?
Yeah, so Carter's going to be he's going to be an intricate part of our pitching for sure, and maybe more, depending on how he progressed hitting-wise. But no, so I was really pleased to see Carter in his outings as a freshman. So he was a freshman last year. So he's a sophomore with like that Ryan Cleathermos and Lonnie Land, that group of 2025s. But he'll get his opportunity to jump on the mound this year, and I know he's been working, so he's ready to chomp at the bit and see what he can do.
Love that.
Yeah,
love that. Defensively, we'll come back into some of these things pitching wise too, but of course, that guy you've got that's the one thing that I look at. When you have a kid that's made a run with you, Jackson Penn, of course, behind the plate.
Right.
You have that guy that's been with the staff. He's been through these runs. He's a guy that knows the program, a senior, that leadership. that's great to have, isn't it?
It is huge. He's going to be an intricate part of our pitching staff because he's got a lot of responsibility, and he played for us as a sophomore and obviously as a junior and did really good things on both sides of the ball. He had some big time doubles late in the season, but he's playing basketball and working his butt off and having some fun. Yeah, so he's a multi-sport guy, and so yeah, he's going to be a big part of us for sure, staff-wise, controlling them and being behind the plate. So we're going to expect him to kind of step up and kind of it's his last hurrah and see. I can't believe we don't have a spot for him next year. Not anything lined up. So I mean. That shocks me. I mean, that kid can play on both sides of the plate. So whoever gets him, at the collegiate level is going to be lucky. But he's still looking,
Well, Jackson, we're pulling for you, buddy.
Yeah.
There you go. And to me, when you have that anchor behind the plate, because everybody knows, you build the defense up the middle and out. You got to fill that hole from Abishan there. You got, is it Dari Riazi, correct?
Dare, yep.
Dare,
yeah, just
Dare.
like,
Okay.
Yep, that's okay.
Second base, right there, he's coming back. Of course, you have the Gazelle in center, so shortstop's really your spot.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. There's that's I wouldn't say a hole, but you got to kind of admit it is a hole right now. It's uncertain. Maybe that's a better word. Because there's some guys that can fill that void. Eric Williams plays third base for us, but he plays shortstop for a summer club, for a summer ball. So he's got a lot of time at shortstop. So he's a
viable option.
Absolutely.
Right.
Tyler Schmidt was a backup middle infielder for us last year. Good glove, good kid. He, he's going to be fighting for it. And, there's even some youth that's going to be, an option that's, if he ends up, Brennan Pyle is a good.
Yeah, the freshman.
Yep,
yeah,
he's a good player and got some skills. So I mean, it's not set, and it is a hole to fill, but it's a little bit uncertainty, and we'll see who's gonna step up. You
gotta love the competition, though.
Yeah, we say that often. The last few years. I shouldn't say often, but we've said it the last few years. In-house competition is always a good thing. It makes coaching tough. Other coaches have it harder, but. But in-house competition is a good thing. So we'll definitely have that, at shortstop and even in the infield. So it's going to be good. It's going to be fun to see. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nothing wrong. That shows, some depth at talent, and there's nothing wrong with that because you got a couple of corner outfield positions to fill as well because, I mean, if you got a kid that can play, that's athletic and whatnot, there's nothing wrong with a corner spot there, is there, Coach?
Yeah, no, not at all. It's the outfield maybe is a little thin. Like we seem to have a lot of infielders this year. Like the guys I mentioned, even. But even like Brady Davis, who's a backup guy too for us last year, he's going to be chomping at the bit in that infield. But our outfield, it's not very deep. Like we don't have a lot of outfielders returning. I know, like, obviously Jackson Carter at center, who is, becoming a better center fielder. He's relied on his speed his whole life, which is, as you know, next level, literally.
Yeah.
But our corner outfield guys, Cody Rust is going to be in the mix, and we got some young guys, like I said, Brian Clethermus and Carter Hollingsworth, who is not a PO. He hit for us on the JV level last year, but those two sophomores will be fighting for it for sure. They're gonna.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, definitely. They're gonna get their chance, and so we'll see.
That's good. All right, love that. So let's talk a little bit offensively. You're losing 60 runs, 67 RBIs. That's a lot of run production.
Yeah,
but you got Jackson Penn coming back, 341, 456. He had a 506 slugging, 2 home runs, 23 RBIs. Riazi, 296, 390, 324, 11 runs scored. Jackson Carter, of course, 13 RBIs, 30 runs, 340. Eric Williams destroyed the baseball, 404, 516, 506, 32 ribbies, 31 runs. That's great run production.
Yeah.
You've got Still there. You talked about, I know I'm going to butcher this poor kid's name, Clethermus?
You got it. Clethermus.
Boom.
Yep.
Hollingsworth, you're still looking at. Everybody, if you're paying attention, we talk about Brendan Pyle. He's committed to Mizzou.
Yeah, he's a player.
So that's there. But and I understand, and I always tell people caution. It's it's up to the coach whether he really thinks that
Sure.
young man is ready to play, because no matter what, you got a 15-year-old kid, you coming up. There's a difference. There's very few guys that can really make that jump from that
eighth
freshman.
grade,
right
into varsity. Yeah, it is tough. It is tough. I to answer your question about run production, it's gonna be tough. I mean, we scored a lot of runs last year. Like we pitched well. In fact, we pitched really well last year. But it was we scored some runs. So. It is going to be challenging. Those guys are going to have to step up, and like the guys that I'd mentioned, and even other guys. We had a pretty good JV season. There's a big core group of dudes that were good on JV. So Coach Varner had a good season, and we had some. So we got a big kind of like 2024s. There's a lot of juniors that are kind of going to be fighting in a good way. So. Yeah, I mean, we'll see where we can get some runs, but I think I like our chances. I look at our lineup and what it could be. Those young guys like we'd mentioned, and like you talked about, Brennan Pyle. If he continues to trend upward like we think he can, then he's got a chance to contribute right away. So I like our chances to score some runs, but. It's kind of to be determined,
Right. Well, you scored 7 against Central and 7 against Dominic. I mean,
yeah.
That's a lot of runs against those two staffs.
Those two arms were good. I mean, that Dominic guy, I mean, Kemp was good.
Yes. And so that run production, that's a tough thing. It's a bigger thought process than I think what people, because trying to manufacture runs when maybe you got that dude on the mound and you're adding Holt. If we're talking about good. Just the GAC Central, you're adding Holt with Hosack, Edgar. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, they had a great year last year.
Right.
And they were competing with, a really tough schedule.
Yeah.
And I know he lost some guys, like we all did, but
Holt moving into the Central.
It's going to make it tough.
Ooh, Holt, East, South, North, and you got Paschke still over there. Washington, and I know I'm missing some because it's 6 schools. Who am I missing?
Did you say Liberty?
No, Liberty is the other one, and Liberty, and that's that Seth Bennett's kid.
I mean, there's a lot of.
My goodness, Coach, it's going
to be tough. I think this will probably be one of the toughest years for the GAC Central. Competitive wise, like most of the time there's a handful that are, probably in the runnings, and then maybe, but I think this year it could be, because even like Washington, who it struggles a little bit to fight and compete with all the, year in and year out, they're good.
Yeah.
They're good. They're loaded. They got some seniors, and Coach Golf's doing great things over there. And then, of course, all the other schools, like South's, of course, always good.
Yep.
And then, North's got some arms. I know they might, Zumwalt North, with Tanner coming back. I think he's healthy. I say that with a question mark. I'm not really sure.
I haven't heard
I hope
anything.
he is. You want guys
like
that to be able to come in and compete and throw and contribute. But I don't know. I'm not 100% if he's back. But Liberty, obviously, with, Bennis and I mean there's some good dudes.
I could see a lot of splits.
Yeah, for
Tuesday,
sure.
Wednesdays, right?
Yeah, and it will come down to a handful of things. Like, well, for one, probability says it'll be some sort of shared champion.
Yeah,
and that's very common. But yeah, I mean, it's going to come down to like kind of like Tuesdays and Wednesdays are big deals. Like it's like it'll be like a playoff atmosphere every Tuesday, Wednesday, like we're accustomed to, but more or less every single week.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I could
There's
see
no off weeks.
6 or 7 wins.
Yeah,
winning the conference.
Absolutely. Yeah,
right.
Absolutely, I would agree with that.
Man, it's tough. Good luck.
Yeah, we'll take it. It'll be fun. You know,
it is going to be fun,
Yeah.
and that's what I love about the GAC. And each conference, there's just some really great matchups week in, week out. You know, starting off, you know, South, you got Carter Cox, and not to, you know, it looks like he'll be their number one. Looks like Lucas is going to be your number one.
Right.
I mean, who doesn't love that lefty on lefty matchup right there with those two guys?
Yeah, that'll be a fun, and they'll be, you know, because we got the better end of them at their place last year. They got us at our place.
Yeah.
So, you know, so it'll be. It's always. They like I said, they tend to get us more times than not, but lately it's a little more balanced. So I'm sure it'll be a great matchup with those two.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking at. I'm interested to see how you guys do against Holt, especially. I know they're moving down, and it's possible they may be in Class 5.
Right.
Because of the, you know, North Point moving that, because I'd even talked to Scott Harris. So I think that's an interesting thing overall in the state when you're talking about districts. I mean, that Holt team in Class 5, that's a dangerous team, Coach.
Oh, yeah. Gosh, yeah. Yeah, that's, like I said, they were good last year, and they'll be good again.
And then Liberty, of course. I think Liberty, it's just all around. I want to finish off the conversation by this.
Yeah.
You know, I'm aware of the guys you've had, you know, coaching in your program, from Coach Varner to Coach Weiber.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Weiber's not; he's moved on, administration and whatnot.
Yep.
And but you know, when you're talking about building a program, and I love the things that you've talked about here today, and how the culture and the guys coming and saying, you know, we're just here to play, and you know, is that the consistency in your staff and the consistency with the guys and the messaging? How's that help from the freshmen to the JV, moving those kids forward?
Yeah, I am lucky with that. That our players really do buy into our program, and more so maybe it's just more of a thing now. I don't know. I'm not saying it wasn't back then.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, even like guys in Justin's era, like those guys bought in.
Sure.
So I don't want to mislead that, but it just seems like up and down. I don't know. I feel lucky. I'm a blessed coach. But this is kind of our first year that we do have a new staff. So our C team guy, so we had to, you know, shuffle some things when Weiber left, and then Coach Jerkins left. Our C team guy is actually an alum, Brandon Sugar.
Really?
So Sugar, yeah, he was.
Gotta love the ties.
2000, yeah. So 2011 grad, and he's bounced around and helped some people coach.
I love to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. We're excited to get him on staff and let him stand on the
And
other side.
really
of the lines.
good player in his day.
Oh, he was. Yeah, he was. He was for sure. So he's going to bring a fun energy to the staff, and then of course, obviously, you know, Loutsey. We always, you know, he's my right hand man. But so how do we? I mean, so we're lucky in the sense of like all the coaches are kind of on the same page, but and even new coaches like Sugar, he's really not going to be new because he's been through it, you know, as a player.
Right.
But yeah, so how do we tie that in? I think we're lucky. We do a lot of things together, you know, like we do a ton of things together. We do, you know, program wide, like I think a lot of schools do maybe. You know, we do a lot of program-wide practices early where we do like, you know, position breakdown where, you know, we have 9, 10, and 11, 12th graders all together. And if you're a corner guy, I don't care what grade you're in, you go work with Coach Varner in the corners, whatever. If you're a 9, 10, 11, 12th grade, if you're an outfielder, you're going to go over here. You know, if you're a catcher, doesn't matter what grade you're in, you're going to go work with Loutsey. You know, middle infield guys, whatever. So we do that often early, and I think the young guys kind of know, you know, like what to expect. They may not physically be able to do what our senior guys are doing, but they know, you know, and by the time they're the one leading the charge, it's just kind of full circle. So, yeah, I think that's part of the thing, you know, that we do, that I'm sure it's not, you know, a lot of guys do that, but it's helpful, you know, for them to kind of know it.
Culture,
yeah.
Right?
And lastly, you know, I think a lot of coaches say that word. You know, I think culture is kind of a new, not a new word, but it's like the buzzword that a lot of people are using.
Sure.
But it's just it's a good place right now at East, and you know, with our baseball program. So I'm proud of that. I'm blessed. I'm happy. You know, and the guys, you know, they make it. They're the ones that do it. You know what I mean? So it's good. I'm lucky.
I think it's, you know, it's as I've been talking with the coaches, and we've had Coach Kendall
I saw
on
that
so far.
Yeah.
And, you know, small programs, you know, to, you know, Coach Goff and Coach Perkins with the, you know, wealth of talent pool.
Yeah.
So, but the message is still the same. And I think it really drives home the message, especially with the Class 5. You don't have, but Class 4 and Class 4 schools especially, building that culture, being that, and having those guys with that messaging, it does make an impact, because you're counting on this group of guys, probably maybe a little bit more, that a player that maybe gets cut at a Howell program would play for you.
Sure. Yeah, the depth is definitely different with those big 6A schools and us. You know, we have to juggle. You know, all coaches have to juggle.
Sure.
But we seem to.
So I think it is really important. I love that, and I love the aspect. I think a lot more coaches are buying into that thought process as far as in the baseball, building the culture, letting it go through. So when that, you know, you got that sophomore that, hey, you know, we might be able to get something a little bit more out of him than, you know, and where he understands what the process is and things of that nature.
Yeah, it's kind of been, you know, already been seasoned a little bit, you know, with some older guys. So, yeah.
Coach, always a pleasure, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Coach Russ Hill, guys, Fort Zumwalt East Lions. I think they got the talent for, you know, whatever run they got in them this year. We'll just put it that way. How's that?
We're going to certainly give it a shot. That's for sure.
So, hey, folks, appreciate you tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it and you're a first timer, you've been not done it yet, please hit the subscribe button, because that's helps us, helps our algorithms, all that stuff. If you like supporting what we do, we appreciate it. Then hit that dinger right there next to it, because that's what we do around here. We hit dingers because chicks dig the long ball. And then also, please comment, like, share with your friends. We appreciate it, especially great conversations like this. It's fun to send that stuff out. So appreciate you being with us, and you pitchers, keep throwing strikes. And hitters, Coach, got any advice for them?
Hit them where they ain't.
That's good. I like it. That's the way it rolls. We'll see y'all next time.